So who am I anyhow? This is the narcissism slide. But really, just to give you context here, I run a handful of websites, started my first website in 2010. I run a newsletter called This Week in Blogging, comes out every Tuesday morning. After this presentation, I'll be hammering that out a little bit. So it'll be in your inbox tomorrow morning. I'm a co-founder of the Toronto Blogger Collective. We have 700 members in Toronto. We work in partnerships with local tourism boards. We work with brands. We do a lot of education there. And we've been able to, typically able to give about $10,000 back into the Toronto creator community per year, which is something that means something to me. TBEX North America Director. It's also a role I'm proud to support creators who are doing things the right way and deserve that recognition. It means a lot to me. I added this and showed my wife, and she was thrilled. Proud partner of Bree Mitchell. Bree's actually speaking today at a conference in Ontario about how to work on partnerships with brands. So I'm very proud of her. She's a wonderful partner and love her to death. Let's make sure that's recorded and put out on my social channels. I also wrote a kid's book last year called Travel the World Around You. It features the cat that I adopted from Istanbul, helping a young boy realize that it's not where you are, but your mindset that helps you explore the world. And I'd like to think, I'd like to think I'm a thought leader. Again, you decide. On the docket today, where we are in the world of content creation, what does brand building look like today, how to showcase ROI, how to execute a partnership in 2025, the power, it should say not off, the power of ownership, opportunities right now, and then hopefully we'll have time for a couple of questions at the end. So, where are we now? The question of the day. I think in 2025 it's fair to say that a blog really can serve as an engine and not really the whole car anymore. Back in the day, you could write SEO-friendly content and reap the benefits of that almost indefinitely. It's a different world now. I don't think it's a cause for great panic. The only thing that's constant in this world is change. And so really it's about your response to the things that are changing and keeping your eyes on what's going on. I recommend a newsletter called This Week in Blogging. I've heard great things about staying on the pulse of things. Hashtag ad. I think the reality is that there are a lot of ways. There's a lot of opportunity right now. It's about knowing how to find that opportunity. I think when I say the term your blog is the whole engine, I don't mean it has to be a blog. This could be your YouTube channel. This could be your podcast. But the idea is you have something which is the core of your brand, and then you're building around that. You could have 5 engines for your brand. But I think the one thing I really want to get across is blogging has changed tremendously. But I don't think there's a cause for great panic as much as a cause to look towards different opportunities and how you can leverage your blog. So AI, I won't touch too much on this because we had a whole wonderful session on that today. But I think of it as, I'm not trying to use AI to replace myself and do no work. I'm trying to use AI to leverage my own potential and to really I say, how can you add efficiency without decreasing personalization? That's the lens I look through with AI. We use AI all the time in our business, but when you think about your brand, writing is what I feel like I do particularly well. I feel like part of my branding is demonstrating that I'm a talented writer. I was an English lit major, I had my master's, and so I don't want to get in the way of demonstrating that I feel like that's my sweet spot. If I can use AI to edit a video, use a tool like CapCut to create a really swift and good-looking reel, great. But I'm not getting I would write the caption for that personally. I don't want to get in the way of that. But you should think about in your business, what are the things that you would never want to corrupt, so to speak? What is that pure part of yourself? I also think with the rise of AI, we're going to get into a position where authenticity is going to become even more desirable. And so when I read someone's content and it's a poor use of AI, I immediately lose a lot of respect for them, quite honestly. However, if you're doing AI the right way, if you wrote a big blog post and you had AI use your voice to create social media, well then I think you're leveraging your own content to save time. It's just, if I'm doing research sometimes, I'll take, you get to 8 paragraphs about a destination you're writing, why not turn that 8 paragraphs into, you ask AI to synthesize the most important part of that and then leverage that for your own content and write about it. There's just little things like that. Social media, yeah, you can't do it all. You can try, but ultimately you need to have some strategy and intention behind how you're approaching social media, and I'll give some examples of that throughout the presentation as well. But I think part of your social media strategy should be looking for opportunity. Where right now is there opportunity? Obviously, all of social media runs on a myriad of algorithms, which are changing all the time. The opportunity, even 1 month ago, would be different from today. And it's all about understanding where we are right now. And also, you can use your first-party data. See what's actually working for you. You could see a signpost that says, "Hey, the next opportunity is here." If you try it out and it's not working for you, well, do what's working for you. I don't think you need to just blindly follow what you believe is a trend. You might have a massive following on LinkedIn, and that's working great for you. And someone might say you should be all over Instagram. Well, I don't know. If Instagram's not your sweet spot, then shouldn't you just figure out how to leverage LinkedIn a little bit better and potentially monetize that in some regard? Okay, so brand and business building. Every single piece of content I produce, if we get on LinkedIn or we hook up on different social channels after this, I think you'll see that every single piece of content that I create, I filter through the lens of, how does this showcase what makes me unique? How am I differentiating myself from everybody else? The reality is, all of us deal with an almost impossible sea of information every single day. What are you doing ultimately to catch somebody's attention and have them stay with you on that journey? I'm always thinking about speaking to a person, using that second person, switching from the first person, this is my experience, and then switching into this could be your experience, can be helpful. I think, as I said here, in a sea of noise, it's all about differentiation and consistency. You got to show up every day. The amount of times I've seen someone like, I'm going all in on Instagram, and 6 weeks later, their profile is dead. I'm like, you have to think about how can you also approach this in a sustainable way. And there's a number of ways to do that. I would say it's, brand building and business building, it's not an ethos, it's action. You can talk all day about how you're brand building, but, ultimately you have to put some of that into action. I think personally, creating media kits, rate cards, portfolio websites, all very helpful. Canva is a beautiful tool to do some brand building for yourself. Why not leverage that? As far as media kits are concerned, you could technically have, when I'm talking about media kits, I'm talking about essentially you're sending a document which is giving people insight into what your brand's really all about. You want to include those key statistics. What could somebody reasonably expect from partnering with you? What do your impressions look like? And also, who are you? In terms of rate cards, I've done it before where I've had a rate card attached to my media kit. A rate card, for people who don't know, you're just pricing out essentially for somebody who might work with you what you would charge. The way that I go about it, we have, Bree and I have a single sort of list of pricing where things might be a little bit more expensive for a single blog post or a single social media post, and then we lead people into our premium campaign package. And that has everything, and it's basically like you're green lighting us to be able to work together. We are pricing our individual content in a way that makes you want to buy our larger package, and that's because then we don't have to say, okay, check, we've got one piece of content, check. It gives me the ability to make sure that I'm hitting my own targets for ROI for that company, because if they're giving me the green light and they're saying we want to do the full package, then I'm saying, okay, well, I'm going to fully deliver for you. And that's a way I couldn't do that if I said, here's one post and wish us luck. I think the big mistake that people make is thinking of themselves as a creator of brand and not a media company. Ultimately, I have TravelMitch.com. I always joke, Traveling Chris sounds like a carnival act. So my last name is Mitchell. I was in third year of university at the University of Oslo at that time. And I didn't think it was going to be a big thing. My roommate was on Blogspot, and he was like, Chris, you're into writing. You should start a blog. TravelMitch.com was born. Ultimately, one of the huge benefits that we found, is, especially working in Canada, is now we run TravelMitch.com, which is great for first-person content. We run Ultimate Ontario. We run We Explore Canada. So the real value here is I can have a personal article where I talk about my experience in a destination. We can use We Explore Canada to highlight a particular business or restaurant that just blew us away and have them be the star. I back away from that first person perspective, slip into a second or third person, and have the star be that person. For Ultimate Ontario, we might, if we're working in Ontario, all three of those sites are essentially going to be able to support a campaign. We can function like an independent media company. So how can you leverage a brand associated with you? I think we found huge success. I can almost guarantee really strong ROI because we are an independent media company in Canada. We've launched other brands to try and replicate that internationally. We launched another brand called the Open Outdoors, which is associated with TravelMitch. So with TravelMedia.ie, we can go to a destination in Europe, and then a big thing, we kind of like to make sure we have a certain amount of time outdoors, because sometimes you end up going boom, 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 boom to like 10 restaurants in a row and drinks and all that kind of stuff, and you're like, I'm literally going to go lie down and just be bloated as you know, as one can be. And like the Open Outdoors, that's one of our brands. We can ensure that part of that day will be spent outside working off some of that great food and wine, and also we're passionate about, you know, the environment and connecting to nature and all of that as well. If you want authority, grow in public. Connect with me on LinkedIn. You'll see exactly what I mean. There's no reason, you don't have to be a perfectly finished product. You can share your learnings along the way. We're fallible. We're not, you know, you don't have to be. I think the big mistake people make is they think to themselves, well, I'm not ready to be sharing this because I don't feel like I fully understand what's going on. Well, share that. Share that part of your story. Hey, I've decided I'm going to go on LinkedIn and really try a strategy for the next month here. I'm going to be posting every single day. You should connect with me on there. 2 weeks later, post on LinkedIn about how that's going along. Ultimately, you're sharing your Instagram channel. People might follow along and follow that journey with you. Provide a report at the end of the month that people can download about what you found success with Instagram. These are things that, like, as you're posting, as you're creating in public, just think about what growth in public looks like, and remember that you don't have to be a fully completed product. Actually, I think people are actually really desperate to connect with vulnerability. I think that's a huge thing. Like, you know, we're all connected to certain people where it's every single post, you're like, this is just a giant advertisement for you. You know, if you're posting honestly and sharing what's worked for you with the intention of helping people along the way, that's a different thing to me. I think diversification of attention and revenue is massive. There's a reason we have 10 income streams or more now, really. You're leveraging social media, doing campaigns, doing, you know, speaking. We do little things we didn't even think about. People started reaching out to me for consulting. There were tourism boards, they were media companies, whatever. I started with a rate that I thought was reasonable. I talked to somebody else in the industry later, realized I'm charging way less than I should be, and that's become a revenue stream. And then somebody talks to somebody else and they realize, what we'll do is I'll speak for an hour, but I'll ask them to give me all that information. I'll build out a document that's 3 pages long on Canva based on all my thoughts so that we can focus on the key details. I have them read that before we even start consulting. Then they have that document to go back to their team, and they can work from that. And then I started doing presentations for social media strategy, brand building for other companies. These are all things that just let your leads lead you. When somebody reaches out to you for something, you might not realize you're perceived as an expert in that space, and you might be underselling yourself. I think we live in a world where, to a large extent, we're by design made to feel inferior because you can always point to somebody who's doing better than you. Well, that person's probably looking at someone else who's doing better than them, and it's this horrible chain. I think what you need to realize is everybody has unique talent, unique insight. Even if you haven't packaged it perfectly yet, there's every single person in this room could be speaking about a different topic up here that they know extremely well. It's all relative. So leverage that for yourself. Finally, automation. You can think about how you want to do this. The best use I've found for automations personally in email marketing to a certain extent. You build out funnels that can serve people indefinitely and not have, that's a whole separate topic, but I like personally MailerLite. I find it's pretty intuitive. It's relatively inexpensive, and we've built out automations on there. One of our automations on Ultimate Ontario for trying to stay in the know of things going on in Ontario is a year long. and we've had 125,000 people go through that funnel. So, some of this stuff pays off. I don't have to lift. I build it once, have it reap benefits indefinitely. All right, tracking growth and demonstrating ROI. So, you cannot improve what you are not tracking. I use a lot of different tools. Something I'll talk about later is kind of where I see opportunity. I got really into Reddit for a long time. I probably get about 10 million impressions a year on Reddit. This is something that you don't really think about. I started as a Redditor 10 years ago and didn't think anything of it. I started to find it was really helpful for campaigns. It could be as simple as sharing a photo from a destination and saying something honestly like, I really underestimated how gorgeous the hiking would be in region X or whatever. Hey, can you let me know some other hikes in the area, get a conversation going? And then you start to get followers on Reddit. People understand what you're doing. I share a lot of different things on Reddit. I started my username on Reddit is Fairly Witty Username. I got that 10 years ago. I have a good friend, Scott Herder, who actually his username is Scott Herder, and he shares photography tips. He shares. I saw a post that he had from Quebec City last week that had a couple thousand views, but it wasn't proprietary or, hey, here's my business or anything like that. He was literally just sharing his experience in a couple of photos. So a few tools that I like. Well, this is from MailerLite, some back-end stats of some of the emails. I have about, I would say, 7 accounts on MailerLite that we're using for all of our brands. This at the top left is really just about some data around Reddit. I wasn't quantifying. I never thought of Reddit as even being worth quantifying. And then I got some data and realized, hey, this is paying serious dividend in some real ways. That's from MailerLite. This is a great tool that I highly recommend that all creators are using called Influence Kit. Influence Kit, basically, you can connect all of your channels to it. You're clicking all of the content that you can. Basically, I feel like personally as a creator, how can you ask for money if you can't demonstrate ROI? I think that's crazy. You have to be able to showcase why would somebody pay you. And to me, paying for a tool like Influence Kit, which I think it cost me something like $600 a year or something like that. It's showing, okay, this is how it did on Threads, this is how it did on email, this is how it did on Facebook, this is how it did on TikTok. We're able to say, okay, roughly 500,000 people saw this, 170,000 people viewed this content on TikTok, and our articles performed X, and then we had 25,000 people engage with that content in some way. One thing we do with the Toronto Blogger Collective is we do campaigns with local tourism boards. In this case, this was York Durham Headwaters. We used a tool called Keyhole. Now, Keyhole is valuable because I can track an individual hashtag and showcase all the performance from that. I can build a 10-page report. It'll pull up all the posts associated with that hashtag. And we can show, so this was just a small, we create individual hashtags to make sure there's no confusion. You would not want to use a broad hashtag if you were creating a campaign. And this can be simple, like if you're trying to show value, let's say you're trying to brand yourself with 2 other people who are, you're trying to be a little team here, create a little hashtag and use that throughout the campaign, and you can show this is our collective reach for the 3 of us. And so in this case, we had 41 posts from 13 different creators over a 7-day period, 355 engagements, 266,000 impressions, and 68,000 reach. We've done 25 or so campaigns with the Toronto Blogger Collective now. We run events. Every single event, we have a unique hashtag. Every single campaign we do, we have a unique hashtag. We track all of that. We send a 10-page, it's an automated 10-page report. It shows the top users. It will automate a list from 1 to 10, the most influential person from that trip. What's been good about that is a lot of our people in the Toronto Blogger Collective ended up working, some of those top creators ended up working and getting more business, and then we're supporting the community even more, the creator community even more, because they're able to say, hey, I was the top creator in that campaign, let's do some more work. And we fully support that. Like, we're not proprietary in that way. We're not going to be like, hey, you met them through us, so we're taking, no. it is better for everybody if creators are thriving, and I don't think it's worth taking ownership over that. You should, again, too, like I'm sitting here with some fellow creators in this room. I would be attending their talk too, snapping a few photos of them so that they could use that. By the way, I snapped a few photos, but so that they could use that later. I think that the biggest mistake that we see in the creator industry is this sense of somewhat really narcissism and hierarchy, and I think the best way to smash that is to realize that it's all about collaboration over competition. Rick over there, with T-Bex, I think that ethos is everything we do. Collaboration over competition. There's room for everybody. I promise you. You're not me. You have your own unique voice. That's why I mentioned here, every single person here could be doing a talk about something different that I'd be happy to attend. It's all relative. So what does a campaign, or in this case, partnership look like? This was the Toronto Blogger Collective on a trolley. This guy is an absolute legendary storyteller. We rode a trolley all around Yorkshire headwaters. We went to 6 different destinations, wineries. Basically, my feeling is if you bring in a group trip and a number of people, you don't want everybody on the same path, boom, 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 boom. You need to give people different things to relate to. So some people ended up writing about the winery. Some people wrote about the arboretum. Some people wrote about whatever. And we're not prescriptive, by the way. If you're thinking about ever running a campaign, we just say, we pay all of our creators, by the way, $500 per day for any trip, because I feel like we're setting a tone for the industry in that way. It's a different situation. All we say to them is, hey, be active on social media, use the hashtag, create one piece of culminating content. That could be a YouTube post, or I shouldn't say post, but it should be a YouTube video, could be a blog post. Hey, that's on you. We give people free reign to do that. They send us that content. We showcase the performance via the hashtag. We collect all of that content and send it over to the tourism board so that they're kind of happy with things on the tail end. That selection process, any event we do, any campaign we do, we create basically a Google Doc, not just a doc, but a Google form. We send that form to the tourism board, and we have questions on that form where people put their media kit, and they always answer the question why they feel like they're a uniquely good fit for that campaign. I've had events before where 25 people applied. We got selected all 25, but I sent an email and said, you've been selected for this event. It's a very different feeling. We do that because we try to avoid what we call shrimp eaters, people who come and just crush appetizers and leave. Yeah. So that's a term that we love at the TBC. But it's crazy. It's not a different process. The buy-in is that somebody applied and was accepted, and you should see how much more responsive and how much the buy-in at our events are. It's really quite different. And we do that for everything we do. Every event, every campaign, and then what ends up happening is the client has an entire list afterwards with why a person was interested in the event and the destination, their media kit, their contact info, and then we step back. If you want to work with them, do your thing. We're not going to get involved with that. We're not proprietary in that way. But I think this applies to a lot of different things. You should be. I think. And I guess I should probably answer this question a little bit. Like all of the campaigns that you should be doing from a creative perspective, I think of as pre, during, and post. Pre, you're making sure you have that itinerary that's locked and loaded, that's unique to you. I think more creators should be pushing to ensure that they're not on the exact same track as everybody else. Leverage what makes your brand unique. If you are known for hiking, do the stuff in the city that gives you the photography and the content you need to be able to showcase that, but then go hiking. That's what you're known for. Why would you do the exact same thing as everybody else? You'll also find people on the PR side of things are doing 7 jobs at once. They're really overworked, and sometimes it's easier to put people on the exact same trip that you've always done. You trust those partners or whatever. Push to get a unique campaign that is associated with your brand. That is the biggest thing. How can you differentiate yourself if you're doing the exact same 10 things that everybody does in that city? How can you create unique content if all you're going to be left with is a things to do article that's been written 1,000 times, right? And then for us too, we build in those activities. I might focus an entire article on Ultimate Ontario or We Explore Canada just on that, or the Open Outdoors, whatever, just on that, and then have that larger article for SEO purposes on the main website, TravelMitch.com. So you're preparing, you're getting what you need. During, posting social, use that unique hashtag, tracking. Post, you're sending a report showcasing ROI. Again, nobody is going to showcase your value for you. What tools are you using to showcase? And this could be from anything. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to be big on social media to show that you have impact. It could be like something as simple as your cousin following your content and taking the trip. Why not leverage that as part of what makes your brand unique? People pay attention. 2025 is the year of ownership. Algorithms change. We've all been burned by something, some algorithm, some, what. If you go all in on Instagram, good luck to you. Again, 5 years ago, that was a gold mine. Where are the gold mines now, right? And to me, I'll talk about this in the next slide where I see a lot of opportunity. But figure out what you own. Email marketing is so underrated. Effectively using email marketing is massive, because how many times do we have someone's full attention in their inbox? I read my emails from start to finish. I scroll through social posts. That's power. You're keeping people's attention for 2, 5, whatever minutes. There's a reason I run a weekly newsletter on blogging. Keeps me in the mind's eye, and also forces me to make sure that I'm on top of things all the time, because I better be prepared to speak about it. The totally unintended side effects of starting This Week in Blogging 5 years ago, my speaking engagements went through the roof, because people knew they could trust me to speak about anything at any time because they read that week's edition. I think you can go the conventional route, use Mailer Lite. I don't like MailChimp. I think it's useless, but that's another story. Substack is, so Medium and Substack, two different versions of kind of the similar thing. I personally use Medium. I'm part of their partner program, and I monetize some of my articles. I repurpose This Week in Blogging editions and share them on Medium. I now make money on Medium. Half of what I do on Medium, I have blocked for the paid program. Half is just about building people in and getting new followers into my ecosystem. People from Medium connect to This Week in Blogging. People from This Week in Blogging connect to Medium. Create your ecosystem. Bree, my partner, she's on Substack now. She's using Substack. The one thing about Substack is you write the newsletter, then it lives there permanently. You continue to reap the benefits of that. So if you're worried about putting a lot of effort into a newsletter and thinking, well, this is going to be good for 5 minutes, Substack's a good spot, and a good spot to repurpose and build authority. Medium's also a really good spot to build authority. Communities. I think Facebook's actually still pretty valuable. I think it's really under appreciated. I mean, I can only speak from my experience. Our Facebook page still crushes. And that's where I connect with a lot of people. We have a Facebook group attached to, I think I run about 9 Facebook groups. The one on This Week in Blogging is active every single day. I think Patreon, I've played with it. I had a podcast for a while that was paid. WhatsApp, really, really underutilized. Watch for WhatsApp communities to be the next big thing. Traverse does a really good job with their WhatsApp communities. They have 5 separated communities that are one on branding, one on blogging and pitching, one on opportunities. They use WhatsApp really well to get in front of their audience. I think their WhatsApp group, I don't know, Dave, you could tell me, it's like up to 1,000 members or something like that, right? 500-600 on WhatsApp. WhatsApp communities, having like little WhatsApp silos, that is for sure going to be huge in the next 5 years. I can guarantee it. In-person events, they're brilliant. Do not underestimate in-person events. Look someone in the eye and talk to them for 5 minutes. That will do more for your relationship than following them on Instagram for 5 years. There's no replacement for being a decent person and sharing a fine beverage. Products. I've played with all of this stuff. I had ebooks. When I moved back to Toronto from Istanbul, I wrote an 100-page ebook about what it's like to be, how to travel like a local in Toronto. It forced me to go to rediscover my home city. I use that. I always think about process over product or process plus product. I wanted to re-explore my hometown. What did I do? I wrote a giant ebook. I leveraged all my previous information, and I reached out to a bunch of people to get into different sites. I think you want to have some lead magnets. What I'm talking about lead magnets is it could be as simple as, on Ultimate Ontario, we have a pop-up on a specific page which shows certain intention, and then you have a pop-up that says the best of Ontario travel straight to your inbox. We'll send a PDF your way that highlights the best of Ontario, but of course it's linked to a bunch of our content. Get people into our ecosystem, get people into our newsletter. Where do I see opportunity right now? Reddit, I think, is really underutilized. I think if you looked at the HCU update that happened in 2023 on Google, there was a huge, basically Google said, hey, don't forget, we own you. And they've shifted everything. Reddit was one of the big winners from that. Reddit, I think, is up about 6,000%. When I realized what was going on, I bought a boatload of Reddit stock, and it's up about 300%. So that tells you all you need to know about Reddit right now. LinkedIn, I think, is huge. LinkedIn, I think, is really underutilized. I probably get, I don't know, 1 million or so impressions a year on LinkedIn. You can have LinkedIn pages. You can create, if enough people follow your page on LinkedIn, you can send out automated newsletters that go out to the entire community. LinkedIn is becoming way more creator-friendly. Analytics are coming in. Like the way that they've sped up your ability to have analytics and track your growth on LinkedIn, it's been huge. Video is now huge on LinkedIn. 36% rise in video being posted on there. They're making themselves way more creator-friendly. Substack, play around with it, see how you might use that. If you don't want to write a newsletter once and have it only be there, don't do that. Medium, I think, again, play around with these things. And the final thing I would say is I still think there's genuine opportunity in in-person events. I think it's really underrated how many partnerships I've gotten because I've stood in front of a room and then afterwards had a beverage or a cup of coffee or whatever and just said, hey, I really appreciated your talk, or I really appreciated getting to know you. I think most people, at least with T-Bex, we try to make sure that anyone on stage is approachable. I think everybody here today really approachable, and you can further those connections by going up after and talking, because ultimately in-person events give you an in to follow up further. If you have any questions, that's my email. This is my portfolio website, by the way, ChristopherJDMitchell.com. All of my brands and everything are on one spot. That's my number, but don't wear that out too much. Maybe hit it on WhatsApp. Thank you guys so much, and I hope that was helpful for you.
Thank you, Chris.